today is Wednesday the 14th of November. So this is going to be a video going over EMPs, how to get home, everything that should be in a get home bag, all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure I've gone over this on the channel before, and this is going to go back over it again. I've started a channel on TikTok because TikTok has a decent algorithm. It's quite a bit better than YouTube. Get more views. You can get the message out there a little bit easier, just because the way TikTok is set up. And so that being said, I'm going to go over the get home bag again and EMPs. So let's get into it. So first off, an EMP, go back over it again. EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. Okay, it's usually set off by a nuclear explosion miles and miles above the ground. So what it does is it doesn't really cause any radiation damage, it doesn't cause any physical damage, but it wreaks absolute havoc on all the electronics on the ground and any electronics in the air, such as airplanes, helicopters, that sort of thing. And if the electronics are not hardened, they will short out and fry and be rendered useless. You can only imagine how that's going to act in an aircraft that is flown by, it doesn't have anything connecting the cockpit to like the wings, the tail. It doesn't have anything connecting them. So this sort of flight method, they're probably going to be falling out of the sky. Older aircraft that still have, I think it's the fly-by-wire, it actually has like cables and things connecting the wings, the tail, the rudders, the ailerons, all that stuff. It's actually got stuff connecting to it, so you can be able to coast down and glide down and turn that aircraft into a glider, essentially. I'm not sure about the newer aircraft. They might have a failsafe, they might not. That being said, there's a possibility that aircraft are going to be falling out of the sky. Helicopters, you're screwed. That being, getting further into this, the scenario is going to be you're driving home, or you're going to work, or you're out and about, and an EMP were to happen. How can you identify it? What should you do? What should you have? What do you need to have in your get home bag? All that kind of stuff. So first of all, you're driving and the power cuts out in the vehicle. Now it's a good possibility that not all vehicles will be rendered useless, but there's a high probability that some vehicles will definitely be rendered useless. And even if that is 25% of the vehicles on the road, guys, that's still a lot. You see what happens on these big highways with just a small accident with 2, maybe 3 vehicles involved. It can shut down a highway. Now imagine 25% of these vehicles being stopped, even like 10%, 5%. It's going to be gridlock on the highways. It's not going to be, you're not going to be able to traverse the highways very easily, even if you are one of the lucky ones with a vehicle running, because those other ones are going to shut down the highway. They're going to shut down smaller roads. They're going to shut down bigger roads. It's going to be difficult to get through, even if you are one of the lucky ones with a working vehicle. But if you are not one of the lucky ones and your vehicle does die, here's a few things that you should be doing. First, when the vehicle dies, if you have the ability, you need to coast over to the side of the road It doesn't even really necessarily need to be the side of the road, but it would be best. That way, even with people with working vehicles can potentially get by or have less obstacles. So get to the side of the road, put the vehicle in park, e-brake it, whatever. Then the next thing you're going to need to do is going to need to identify where you're at. How long is it going to be to get home from where you are? Exactly what is all around you? What is the terrain around you? What are the potential dangers? What are different obstacles I'm going to have to get home? These are going to be important things to have in the back of your head. So, now that you've coasted to the side of the road and you've identified different dangers and where you're at, you need to have a plan on how to get home from where you are. And it's definitely not a good idea to only have one route home. But if that is the case, if you only have one route that you can get home, then that's a different story. That's what you're gonna have to work with. But if you have the ability to get a different route home, have multiple ways, just in case there is something else on your primary route. You can divert from that, and you can have a backup. I've always said, and I always will say, have a backup for your backup for your backup for your backup. Contingency plan, have a lot of them. It's always best to have contingency plans. Just in case plan A, B, C, or D fails, you still have that next plan. I understand getting further and further into it is harder and harder to make those other plans, but if you have the ability to continue to make those extra plans, just to be on the safe side, you always know what's going to happen. So now you have a route home picked. You've identified any dangers. You've identified where you are, and you know how you're going to get home. The next thing is make sure that you have any and all important documentation out of your vehicle. And make sure you have it with you on your person in a safe place. That's very important. You don't want any of that stuff to get stolen out of your vehicle. Take any money you have with you. Just take any money that you have with you, because again, EMP would mean no electronics, would mean no card readers, would mean you can't write a check. So take cash with you. Now, what should you have inside of your get home bag? Now, I do get home bags for different people. Because I really like doing that kind of stuff, and it's one of the things that I enjoy is making these kind of bags, because it gives me something to do that's not this. Anyways, what should be inside of your get home bag? And this is actually kind of a difficult question to answer, to be specific on it, because a get home bag can vary from person to person. But there are general things that you should keep in your bag, and this can apply for anybody anywhere. And it's going to be, first off, food and water. MREs are always a very good thing, because they have their own heating element. They got everything inside of it that you need right there to cook and eat that food. So MREs, very good way to go, very good option. One or two would suffice for a 50K or under. And you can get home in 50Ks in one day, depending on your athletic ability, or how how far the weather's like and the terrain. 50K going through mountains is a lot different than 50K in the desert, and it's a lot different than 50K in the prairies of Kansas. Okay, so but generally speaking, 50Ks can be done in one day if you are athletically capable of doing it. I understand certain people have different disabilities and things limiting them, or they can't. Different story, but generally speaking, one or two MREs should be okay for a 50K bag. You can even go 3 if you're worried. Now, obviously, double this for 100Ks, and then so on and so forth. But MREs is the biggest thing that I would recommend, followed by dry goods that don't need to be cooked, like beef jerky and things like that. Different kind of nuts, things like that. Something you don't have to cook. Another thing, and what I have in mind right here, is I've got freeze-dried food. I've got 5 packets of freeze-dried food in my bag. But I also have a method of cooking it. I also have a method of boiling water. I have a small portable wood stove. Okay, that way I can go and get the wood free of charge. I don't have to carry extra propane or anything like that or alcohol to keep for fuel. I can just go out and actually get my own fuel from nature itself. It's a small, really lightweight portable wood stove. I've got a small camping cup you can pour water into. There's enough, it's big enough to boil enough water one go for one freeze-dried food packet. So keep these things in mind. If you are going to carry freeze-dried food, which is not a bad option because it's lightweight, you're also going to need a way to boil water. You're going to need a thing to boil water in. Obviously, I've got waterproof matches, and I've got lighters, and I've got one of the rods. So I've got multiple different ways of starting a fire to boil that water. Next up is going to be different, smaller kind of equipment, such as paracord. I think I have about 50 meters of paracord in my bag. A lot of paracord, yes, but you never know how much paracord you're going to need, and it's very, very, very useful to have. Along with a good knife, I've got multiple different knives, different kinds for different applications. Another thing is to have a good tool set, a very good tool set, a higher quality tool set. So, and guys, on the tool set, yeah, these things you get what you pay for. So, preferably, if you have the ability to, don't go cheap on this tool set. Don't cheat yourself, because going cheap on a tool set is cheating yourself potentially out of a situation. Let's see, the next thing, medical gear, medical equipment. And for some reason, I have one of these things with my medical stuff. I don't know why. Probably because it's in a tablet form. But this goes back to the water. And that's potable aqua. On my TikTok channel, I showed it, but I was not driving at the time, so I was able to show it. But it's just potable aqua. You Another thing is you should have a water filter. I have a water bottle with a water filter on it. And it purifies it as well. It's got like a life straw inside of the water bottle, so that's a good option to have as well. Now back to the medical equipment. So you're going to want all of the basics: gauzes, band-aids, tape, medical tape, cotton swabs, alcohol swabs. I have, I think it's like iodine swabs, or iodine swabs, whatever it is. Let's see, what else I got? I got pain relief. I've got anti-itch, anti-diarrheal, tourniquet, a lot of different stuff in the medical. Have a decent medical kit with you. And as for the tool sets that you want to keep with you, medical is also the same in the way of you get what you pay for. Don't cheat yourself out of a good medical kit. Okay? This is one of the things where you do not want to go cheap. Spend the money, get the good stuff, learn how to use it. And I cannot emphasize that enough. Just learn how to use the medical gear. It's very important because the last time you want to learn how to use a tourniquet, last time you want to learn how to use a tourniquet is on the field, and you need to use it right now. That's not the time to learn. The time is right now. So learn how to use your medical gear. Also learn how to use your tools as well, because you don't want to be in an SHCF situation figuring out how to use a wrench. Heaven forbid you don't know how to use a wrench. But that's not the point. Is learn to use your equipment while the time is good. Don't wait and cheat yourself out of learning how to use it in a bad situation, is what I'm trying to say. Hang on. Okay, another thing, the next thing for your getting home would be having a map, a topographical map and a regional map. Making sure you can find your way on a map, find where you are, and use it to determine how to get home the best way possible. And a topographical map will give you hills and all that kind of stuff, and you can account for extra time due to different hills, and you're going to probably be going slower up those hills. So make sure you have a map, or at bare minimum, make sure you know how you're going to be able to get home, be able to navigate the terrain, know where the different hills are, and account for that and how long it's going to take for you to get home. In a 50K or 50 kilometer get home bag, definitely I would recommend having a spare change of clothes, socks, underwear, shoes, pants, shirts, whatever, balaclava, whatever, hat. Have a spare. Anyways, yeah, spare clothes, just in case you do get wet, so that you have the ability to get out of those wet clothes and into some dry ones. Now, a 50 kilometer get home bag, like I said, it should be doable in one day. However, things can happen turning that 50 kilometers one day into a 50 kilometers day and a half, or heaven forbid 2 days. So one of the things you could consider is having a lightweight sleeping bag, something that's going to be that's not going to take up a lot of space. And remember, guys, in your get home bag, one of the key things that you want to do with this thing is keep the weight down. 65 and a 75, and the camera goes off telling you, please reduce speed anyways. BS. Last thing you need is to be traveling 50 kilometers with a huge, overwhelmingly heavy bag. Okay? So, that's one of the big things that you want to do is you want to keep the weight down on it. That way it's not being a bother to you and hindering your ability to get home. Because when it gets too heavy, there's a point where your get home bag turns into a I'm just going to leave you on the side of the road kind of bag, and you're going to set up camp and it's going to take you 7 days to go 50 kilometers. Okay? Not what the point of this bag is. So it's something that you're going to need to keep light, keep the weight down. Guys, when you are building this bag, go out there and go hiking with this thing on, okay? Make sure it's going to work. Make sure it's not going to be way too heavy. And if it is too heavy, find different things in that bag that you can take out, or even you can find different things that you can replace with a lighter weight version of that item. In my case, I've got an extremely lightweight stove. I could have gone with a little heavier one. It would have been a little bit better quality and it would have been a little bit heavier. But I can't be having that thing weighing me down like that, especially usually at work, I get about 50 kilometers away from my house. If I go to the other place, then it's 100 kilometers. So what I have with me is a 100 kilometer bag. I can easily do 100 kilometers with this bag, no problem. Keep the weight down, definitely. And again, one of the important things to have would be a good knife. Or if laws permit it, you can carry a firearm, extra ammunition, or even a crossbow, a small crossbow, with extra bullets, something for self-defense. It would be pointless if you... God damn, engine brakes. It would be pointless for you to have an immaculate get-home bag with no self-defense if you get mugged 100 meters away from your vehicle on your way home. Okay, now your property belongs to them, unless you have a way to defend yourself. So a good method of self-defense ensures that you get home. But guys, this is already 23 and a half minutes long, so I really didn't want to make this video for YouTube. That way a more longer, drawn out, more well explained, in-depth video could be made of the video that I put up for TikTok. This video on YouTube is probably going to be out before the TikTok video gets released. That way I can get this video uploaded. I can put the link to this video in the TikTok link, description, or I can just throw it in my bio. But that's going to be the more broken down version of getting home. And guys, during an EMP, when you are trying to get home, just remember it's important to be vigilant. It's important to have a very much heightened sense of